Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new. Today we are going to be discussing how to help someone with a mental illness. Now if you're new here, then hey, my name's Marie. Isn't that the sound of death? If you're new here, then hello. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Marie, I'm 21 years old and I've struggled with a mental illness since the age of 16. This is why I've kind of wanted to make this video. Last night I was on my phone going through my Insta DMs, like reading them and replying to them, and this girl asked me like how to help a friend, and I get asked that so much. How can I help my friend who's struggling with a mental illness, or how can I help my sister or my brother? You know, it's anyone. How can I help them? And firstly, I just want to say, if you are new and you're just found this video, then I give you so much admiration if you're trying to help someone with a mental illness. If you're trying to better yourself and understand more, then that is honestly amazing, because it just shows how much of a good person you are in order to try and help other people. So if you are one of these people that has messaged me, or just in general you are a person who wants to help someone with a mental illness, then you should really give yourself a pat on the back, because it's a lovely thing to do. Now I came up with 4 tips. They're not the be all and end all, they're just based on what I felt at the time and how, in retrospect, how did I want people to act around me. The first one is to try and act as normal as possible, and I know that's really difficult. To treat them as normally as you would regardless is such a big thing. I remember when I came out to my parents about self-harming, it was like everyone was walking on eggshells around me. No one wanted to say anything that might disturb me or something, but obviously that was with the best intentions. However, for me it felt like I was doing something wrong and that I needed to, I don't know, like it just felt wrong, and it felt like I was wrong and I had done something really bad because people were acting different around me. So I'd say the first one is just try and treat them as normally as possible. It's difficult, but it's one thing that's really important, I think anyway. So that was kind of just one that came into my head right now, but I actually wrote down some things just because last night I was thinking about it and I was thinking, what did I really want from someone at that time? The first one I wrote down might sound quite trivial, but it's to talk and to listen to them and to go at their own pace. With mental illnesses, there are different stages that you can be at. You can be at a very early stage of telling someone, you can be at a very end stage, but inevitably the one thing that you want someone to do is to talk to you and to listen to what you are saying and to digest that, not just kind of let it go in one ear and out the other. To really understand what you're trying to get across to them. And when I say at their own pace, it's because some people might find saying a few words really difficult, and other times people might not be able to speak at all about it, but just to be there with someone is so important, and that was what I really wanted. I'm very lucky in the fact that I have a family who listen to me and talk to me, and mental illness is not a taboo subject in our house. I'm very lucky, and I have friends too. Finding someone who will listen to what you're saying and sit there and support you, and maybe not even say a word to you, maybe just to sit there and be present is enough to show that they're there for you. And the physical aspect of that is very important. It's not just over text messages, it's I wanted someone to just sit with me, just because mental illness is so isolating and so lonely, and to have someone just sit and listen or talk to you. I remember when I was back in school and I was in 6th form, and my English teacher, she knew something was wrong with me but didn't really know how to say it, and she had a cupboard in her room, and this cupboard was like really big, and people would go in there when they have problems. So I was invited to the cupboard a few times, but I was invited to the cupboard one day and I sat down and I looked at my shoes for about an hour while she just spoke and tried to have a conversation with me, but it was just the kindest thing to do. She was speaking about her dogs and her family and how she had a house in Wales, and she was just speaking about normal things, but I felt company, I felt validated by her just sitting and speaking to me without me having to give everything, because I did not say a word, but her just being present with me was enough to make me feel better. The next one I wrote down is to not be hollow, and that might sound quite mean, but it's very obvious to anyone when someone's being fake, or basically you don't have to counteract someone's sadness with happiness. You don't have to try and like balance that out, because that's not really how it works. If you're being cheery and bouncing around and let's do this, you're so you know, again, it's with the best intentions, but it's not gonna get through to the person that you're trying to talk to, because they'll be able to see through it. And you don't want someone to counteract your sadness with happiness, because you're sad. You need to feel sad sometimes. You need to actually just sit there and feel it. And if someone's trying to make you happy when you know that you can't be happy at that moment in time, it really does not work. So I'd say just don't be hollow with them. Be real, be a person, like I said in my first statement. But it's very important to not try and force this fake reality and everything's so good and the world is so great. And I'm not saying sit there and be sad with them, but I'm saying just be yourself, be normal. Being normal around people is so important. The next one I wrote down is support. Now, all of these things are kind of tied into one thing, all around support and helping someone. I remember a quote by, I think it was Jerry Maguire, and it said, "Help me, help you." And that's really important. I think if you're sat with someone with a mental illness and you're trying to help them but don't know how to, say to them, "Help me, help you," because they can then tell you what they want at that moment in time. They might want to be left alone, they might want to, you know, go for a walk or just watch a film, you know, they might want to have some sort of distraction. But if you're sat there and you're thinking, "Oh my god, I don't know how to help this person, I don't know what to do," say to them, just be honest with them, "How can I help you? What do you want me to do?" And if they don't know, then that's okay. Don't put pressure on them to try and force an answer. But if they don't know, then that's likely that you're doing enough already. You're being there and supporting them enough for them to not need any more at that point in time. So don't beat yourself up if you don't know how to help someone because they're not telling you. It's probably because you're doing enough already and you're probably doing a great job. The next thing I wrote down is to get rid of expectations. Now, expectations was something that I really struggled with in terms of other people setting expectations on me. Like, in my experience, this has been a very long journey. I was 16, now I'm 21, and I'm still day to day facing and fighting a mental illness. At 16, I think the expectation was that I would have a phase and I would go through this phase and then I would be okay. So 6 months down the line, I'd go back to how I was before. And sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes it is, but sometimes that's not the case. And not setting expectations for this person is really important. Obviously, there's things like when it gets to a point where you know that they can do things to better themselves. I'm not really talking about that. I'm talking about in the early stages. Don't have an expectation that things are gonna be fixed overnight, because they might not be, and most likely won't be. And also, even with things like expecting them to get up and get dressed, or expecting them to eat meals and go for a walk with you, sometimes that is just not feasible and it just won't happen. Don't put pressure on them to act a certain way, because it won't work. They might force themselves to do it, but but inside they're actually screaming like, I just want to be alone, I just want to be in bed, I just want to sit with you, I don't want to feel like you're putting pressure on me, because I've already put enough pressure on myself. It's most likely that this person is struggling internally so much and has so much pressure on themselves to try and do things that it's better to not add pressure to that, because it just going to be a big ball of shit basically. And the last thing I wrote down is to look after yourself. This has come from my experience of being the person helping someone with a mental illness, because not only have I been helped, but I've also helped someone. Basically, you can't pour from an empty cup. You need to make sure that you're okay in order to help someone else. If you're not okay, then you literally won't be able to help someone else, because in your life you come first, and in the person you're trying to help life, they come first. So you need to put yourself first, even if you are a carer or just a person who's helping someone. Just make sure that you're okay and that you're strong enough mentally to be able to deal with what you might experience when talking to someone with a mental illness. It might be very heavy, intense conversations, and if you're there already struggling yourself, it's not going to end well, is it? So make sure that you're okay in order to help that person. And finally, I would just say, if you are talking to someone with a mental illness and they say something that means they might hurt themselves or hurt someone else, you need to take action and either take them to A&E or the ER room, or call an ambulance, call someone who can help them, because if they're in crisis, you're not the person to deal with that. There are professionals out there who know how to deal with it, and it shouldn't be just on your shoulders to try and sort this out, because sometimes it's too much and the problem is too big. So if there are any warning signs, then definitely call someone or take them to a safe place where they will stay safe basically. But that's today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. It's not really an enjoyable one, but it's more of an informative one. It was just something that has been playing on my mind recently. If you have any tips, then leave them down below, like how can someone help you and what was the best way you found someone to help you, because I feel like this video could benefit a lot of people. And if we have loads of comments in the comment section about how you've helped someone or how you've been helped, then I think it would be really beneficial. So I'm gonna love you and leave you. I hope you have a great day, great evening, a great week, and I will see you in my next video. Remember to subscribe and like this video if you aren't subscribed, or if you haven't liked it already, because that really helps me out, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!